So you're all very welcome to our midweek exhale, our hour, about an hour on a Wednesday. What's evening for me may not be evening for you, but it's a time whenever you're watching this or breathing with this, it's a time to take a pause. It's a time to put down all the stuff that you're carrying, all the stuff that's flying through your head, all the stuff we have to deal with on a daily basis. It's time to put that to one side just for an hour and take some time to actively rest. So, not waiting until you collapse and can't do anymore, and not deciding you're going to rest and scrolling and doing all the other things, but actively resting, taking time for yourself to actively rest. And that's the purpose of the session. So our sessions are always structured, sorry, this session is always structured the same way. To be fair, all our sessions are, they just don't have the same timings or the number of breaths. But this session, we have 4 different breath styles. And each breath style begins with birdsong and finishes with silence. And that's very deliberately done. The birdsong and the silence both put us into our parasympathetic nervous system. So they move us from that activated state that we have to be in when we have things to do and we're working. But it moves us out of that into our parasympathetic nervous system, that part of our nervous system that allows us to rest, that part of the nervous system where our body gets an opportunity to do the things that it needs to do. 2 of them being rest and digest, which is why it's called rest and digest. But the bird song it comes from years and years and years and years and years ago, when our ancestors used to be maybe out hunting or out doing whatever they were doing. If they could hear the birds, they knew that they were safe. They knew there were no predators around, because if there were predators, the birds wouldn't be singing. And although life has changed completely since then, our nervous system still remembers that. So when we hear birdsong, our nervous system takes that as a sign that we're safe. And that's why we have the birdsong there. And the birdsong, and sometimes we speak over the birdsong because we introduce the next breath style, but the birdsong does its magic whether we're speaking over it or not. The silence then is silence, because just doing things that bring our system into our parasympathetic nervous system is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. However, if we want to give our body the chance to actually focus on doing the things inside that it needs to, we need to give our body silence. And we don't get silence very often in our lives today, because there's always noise. And well, if you're anything like me, sometimes you even put in noise that you don't need. But there's always noise. So giving your body the gift of silence allows it to focus in. It doesn't have to be monitoring the noise and monitoring the sounds to make sure it's safe. So therefore it can focus on doing the things it needs to do. And there are so many things it needs to do. The one that we always mention, because it's the one that I think excites us most, is the fact that we create new neural pathways in our brains. So just allowing that time of silence. So that's why we have the birdsong and silence in our sessions. Now, the breaths that we're going to do this evening, our session today is loosely based on a session we're going to do on Friday. On Friday, we're doing anchoring the exhale, which is when we breathe with the natural astrology. And we're going to breathe with Virgo on Friday. So we're going to loosely bring Virgo in. We're going to just allude to Virgo in this session. So our breaths are, we're going to open with awareness. We're going to then do mouth-nose breathing. And all this will be explained as we go. This is just for people who like to know what the session's going to look like. Then we're going to do coherence. Now, for people who come regularly, coherence isn't last today. Coherence is third, because we're going to finish again with awareness in this session. So those are the 4 breath styles we're going to do. And you don't have to remember any of that, because you will be guided into all of them. I did say at the beginning to get things to look after your comfort, and our rule here is be comfortable. So get what you need to have what you need to hand, whether that's black. Sometimes when we're breathing consciously, we can have changes in temperature. And sometimes we do get very cold, even if it's not very cold out. So having maybe a jumper or a blanket that you can use if you need to can be useful. Maybe you want water, whatever it is that you need to look after your physical comfort. And then we come to the bit where we say be comfortable, but don't be comfortable. Sometimes when we breathe intentionally, it brings us to places that feel just not quite so comfortable as maybe we like to be. So it can bring up things like memories or thoughts or feelings that maybe push us to the edge of our comfort zone. Now, we'll never ask you to push through that. We'll never ask you to keep breathing until that releases or any of those things. But the invitation is to go to the edge of your comfort zone and to just stay there and just look at what's coming up and notice. Because sometimes there are things that we need to learn. Sometimes there's a message there for us. And sometimes it's in sitting there that maybe things begin to move again. Because when things get stuck in our body, that's kind of when they start causing problems. So if they're moving again, it can make us feel lighter. So just sitting at the edges of your comfort zone. However, this is your session. And if in this session that is not something that really you're going to do, that's also fine. You are in control. So if things are coming up and really this is not the time for it, just bring your breathing back to its natural rhythm and those things will all begin to subside. Equally, if some of the breath styles, if they just don't, if they don't suit you in this session, feel free to go back to another breath style or to bring your natural breath rhythm back. The one thing I would ask is that as I read out the breath styles, maybe one of them you thought, oh no, I don't like that. And that's absolutely fine. I would just invite you to give it a go in this session because sometimes something that didn't sit right with us when we did it before, this is a new session, it's a new day, it might sit differently today. So just trying out the breath styles as we come to them. And then if really, no, it's not a breath style for this session, that's fine. Bring back your natural breath rhythm or go to a different breath style. You can do this session seated or you can do this session lying down. You're going to be here for about 40 minutes. So if you are seated, making sure that you're properly supported so that you can be comfortable. And if you're lying down, making sure that your pillow or whatever you're lying on isn't very high because you don't want your chin to be too close to your chest because the breath won't be able to flow freely. I think that might be nearly everything I have to say. So all that being said, it's now time to get yourself comfortable. So just maybe adjusting slightly and checking that you are actually comfortable. And knowing that if during the session, maybe you're not comfortable, maybe the position you're in isn't comfortable, you can move. You're very welcome to move. We would ask that you don't stand up because sometimes you can be lightheaded and we don't want anything, like we don't want you falling or anything. So if you have to stand up to attend to something, bringing your breath back to its natural rhythm and then slowly, when you've given yourself a few moments, slowly standing up. But for now, just making sure that the position you're in right now feels comfortable, feels as comfortable as you can make it. And maybe adjusting slightly. Sometimes we don't know we're uncomfortable until we actually move. So maybe just adjusting slightly. And then bringing our attention inside, bringing our attention into our body. Maybe listening to what our body has to say. Noticing, are there areas of tension or tightness? Maybe there's pain somewhere. Maybe there's tingling or lightness. And allowing all that to be without judging it or questioning it, just allowing it to be. And as the music starts, just taking a few moments to ask yourself the question, how do I feel? And again, without searching for an answer. Maybe the answer is very clear and maybe it's not. Just allowing space for it. And now just taking a moment to notice your thoughts. Notice what's happening in your mind. And I'm not going to ask you to clear your mind or anything like that. Just notice what's there. Notice, is it busy? Is it noisy or is it quiet? And again, allowing it to be, not feeling the need to question or judge or feeling the need to follow the thoughts. Just allow them to be. And now bringing your attention to your breath. And again, without any need to change it right now, just noticing it. Sometimes when we do bring attention to it, it does change, and that's okay too. Where do you feel your breath right now? Not where you should feel it, where do you actually feel it? And is it easy to notice your breath? Is it easy to keep your attention on it? And again, knowing that whatever the answer is, it's okay. It's absolutely perfect. We're just noticing. Noticing what the inhale feels like and what the exhale feels like. And if your attention's drifting, again, just noticing that as well. And then gently bringing it back. And it doesn't matter how many times you notice it drifting. Just gently bringing it back. Giving yourself the time to arrive here. Sometimes that takes a wee while. Maybe bringing your attention on the parts of your body you feel moving and just noticing them. And maybe there's somewhere that's only moving a little tiny bit. Noticing that really small movement as well, if it's there. Maybe there's even somewhere that you don't usually notice when you're breathing. And just noticing that. And we're soon going to move into the first time of silence. And maybe you'll take the noticing with you, and maybe you won't. And either's absolutely perfect.
And as the bird song brings the silence to a close, just noticing how it felt to be in silence. Maybe it's the first time for you today, or maybe you've had other pockets of silence throughout the day. Whichever it is for you, just noticing how the silence felt. And for our next breath style, I'm going to invite you to breathe in through the mouth. So an open mouth, breathing in. Close the mouth at the top and then breathe out gently through the nose. Breathing in through the mouth. Closing the mouth and then breathing gently out through the nose. And this one will possibly take some thinking. It might be a little bit unnatural for you. But just giving it a go and seeing how it feels and seeing if you can get into a rhythm with this. And we are mimicking what happens in nature, in the plant kingdom, when that first bit of energy bursts out and the seed shoots. And we're pulling in the energy and then just relaxing on the exhale. And let it be as fast or as slow as feels right for your body right now. In through the mouth and gently out through the nose. Just letting your body respond to the little bursts of energy. Noticing that it's not constant, it's not a constant buzz. There's that gentle exhale. In through the mouth and then gently out through the nose. Imagining perhaps with that little burst of energy, the leaf just unfurling. The branch letting go of its fruit. Little tiny bursts of energy that just intersperse the plant's gentle, steady, almost imperceptible growth. In through the mouth, out through the nose. And we're into our last minute now, so just checking in with how you feel. Maybe you want to let your breath return back to its normal rhythm, or maybe you want to do a couple more breaths, pulling the inhale through the mouth and then relaxing out through the nose. Almost there now. Just getting ready to rest in the silence.
As the bird song begins again, just taking a few moments to notice what that silence was like. Maybe it felt the exact same as the first one, and maybe it felt very different. And in our next segment, I'm going to invite you to coherence breathing, to balanced breathing, where And we'll invite you to balance your inhale and your exhale so that they're the same length. And you can do that by counting in your head. So you might breathe in for 3 and breathe out for 3, or for 4, or for 5, in and out for 5. You might do it using your fingers. So touching each finger to the tip of your thumb on the inhale and the same on the exhale. Or you might just allow your body to do it. You might set the intention and allow your body to do it. But we're going to balance the inhale and the exhale. And maybe, if it's possible, breathing gently in and out through your nose. And breathing into the bottom of your lungs. And once the seed does the little spurt of energy and begins to grow, it needs balance then. It needs the right balance of light and water for the growth to happen. Just balancing your breaths. And finding the length that's right in this session. Not necessarily the length that you used the last time you did this. Finding what's right in this moment. When the plant gets the right balance of light and water, growth can happen. So noticing when you get the right balance for you in this session, noticing what happens. Keeping the breaths balanced. And noticing too if it begins to feel like you're pushing or forcing. And then adjusting. And that might be shortening the inhale and the exhale, or it might be making them a little bit longer. But listening to your body. Just because you started with one count doesn't mean you have to keep that count. And again, checking in to make sure that the breath length is right for you. And noticing what happens when it is. We're in the last minute now, so maybe your attention has drifted. And if it has, just gently bringing it back to the balanced inhale and exhale. And soon we're going back into the silence, and you can bring the balanced breath with you if you want, but just rest.
And as the birdsong brings the silence to a gentle close, just noticing again how that silence felt. And you might compare it to other silences, you might let it stand on its own, and just noticing how it felt. And for our final segment of our breath today, we're going to invite you once again to breath awareness. So maybe with your natural rhythm, just taking the time to notice breath as it moves through the body, but also to notice life, to allow yourself some space to gently breathe and just witness and spend time with what is happening in your life right now. And just remembering that this practice is an invitation to presence, to being aware of your breath, but also being aware of life, allowing space to sit at the edges. And you're just allowing whatever arises to arise, and maybe you're getting a sense of it in your body. Maybe there are memories or feelings that are arising for you. And there's nothing wrong. You can't get this bit wrong. You're just breathing and noticing and allowing the space. Maybe there's a part of you that has been waiting patiently for you to just stop for a while and listen. And soon we'll move into silence once again. And your invitation is to take the awareness into the silence and to rest there.
as the bird song begins again, just taking a moment again to reflect on how that silence felt. And then maybe extending that reflection to how the whole session felt. Maybe what's different now to the beginning and what's exactly the same. And it is time to begin to come back. So just bringing your awareness to your body again and noticing how that feels. Maybe bringing some gentle movement in wherever you feel called to move, shoulders, arms, hands, wherever, spine. And feeling that connection with the surface that's supporting you. And maybe if your eyes are still closed, blinking them open and just looking round. Looking around the space that you're in. Noticing colours and shapes. And then remembering that as well as a physical space, you're also in a Zoom room. And beginning to make your way back to that Zoom room.
And whilst you're bringing yourself back into the Zoom room, there's no rush. You can just listen for a little while to our notices. So the recording of this will go up on our YouTube channel, and the link for that is in the chat. And if you would like to subscribe, then we would really love that. And you can listen to our Breathworks more frequently than just on a Wednesday evening. And we also put the recording into the free tier of our Breathwork community, the Exhale Library. And if you sign up there, as I said, for free, then you can watch the recordings without any ads, which is only possible on YouTube if you have a paid subscription. There's also lots of other things in the community there too, and you'll be able to see those as you sign up and take a look around. And you'll also see that if you did want to join a more active part of the community, then we have our Acorn tier where we actively hold each other in breath song throughout the month. And we do that by taking it in turns, by taking a day when it's our turn to hold the community in intention. And we do have a short period of practice in that day, maybe an hour and 11 minutes, where you hold the community, but you can do that in whatever way you like, and you do it from the comfort of your own home on your own. And you just share that experience. And then, of course, we have our monthly breathwork sessions, and Friday is our next one. And I don't think I popped a link in for how you can get tickets for Friday, but if you get in touch with us, then we will show you how to get tickets for Friday. We're going to be breathing with Virgo and the astrology of the sun's whispers. And of course, our final link is our directory listing. And if you wish to get in touch with us and you're not in the community, there's a message function there. And you can also leave us a review. We like it when we get reviews. So if you would like to keep in touch with us like that, then that's possible too. So thank you very much for listening to our notices. And the final thing for me to say is just to take care. Even though this breath has been gentle, it's nevertheless, whenever we give our attention to our breath, it is always profound. So be kind to yourself, and show yourself some some compassion and some grace as you move through the next few hours, maybe day or so, as the breathwork settles. I'm going to pause the recording now and open the room for hearth and voices, the opportunity where you can share your experience if you wish.